are, number 5, episode 5. I'm recording it right now on Anchor.fm. Here we go. Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Nick Albanese. Here we are, believe it, episode 5. I'm recording this on Anchor.fm. It's really easy, it's lots of fun, and best of all, it's free. So, what do you out there, what do you like to say? What's that saying? If it's free, it's for me. So some of you might like it. Follow me on my social media. I'm not on all of them. I'm not on Twitter. I got off of that because it's just a horrible, horrible place. They all are. But I'm on Facebook. And what's the other one? Instagram. And this old man just recently went on TikTok. I'm trying to do some fun stuff over there. Or if you have any questions, if you're on Anchor listening, there's a message button. You can send me a voice message. Or you can email me, write me on social media. Any questions you want me to talk about on this show, and I'll talk about it. If I can. So where did I leave off last time? 1995, I returned home from California. I'm feeling like a loser. I'm back in Rhode Island. I'm feeling like a bum. A total failure. But, yeah, I'm a kid. I had no experience. So I'm back at work at my dad's bakery on the north end of Providence. But it didn't take too long. Those feelings came back. Those feelings of wanting to be an entertainer. You know what I mean? So I just started auditioning locally to local theaters around. Let's try to start and do some stuff and try to start some writing again. Writing some monologues, because I used to back in the day you audition with a monologue. I'm sure that you still do if you're not reading from this script. But I used to like writing my own monologues because I knew what I can do. I really couldn't find many monologues that I could relate to. So that's what I did. But, by the late 90s, things started picking up for me. I knew it was time for me to get some experience. That's what I needed. That's why I lacked when I left right out of college and went to California. I needed to build on that experience. I need to build on what I already learned in college and just go up from there. And I ended up auditioning and getting some couple of roles in 2 different one-acts at Brown University. Believe it or not. Back then, Brown, they had all these little theater groups around besides the main theater in Brown. Like a few years earlier, like I told you in another episode, I was at Rights and Reasons African American theater group. They did need a white family for one of the one acts, and I ended up in that, and it was a great experience. And so they had all these other programs there for playwrights. So the students would write their plays, and then they would get to or maybe direct it themselves or find a director and then cast it, and then they would have a festival with all the students in their new plays that they wrote. And I ended up in a couple. One was Spell Song, Charlotte Manning. Is that the name? I can't. It's been so long since I said the name. She wrote the play, and it was about the brothers of Joseph from the Bible. I played Gad, but it was a trippy kind of like almost acid trip of a story. It was cool. It was really cool to do. I met some really great people. Audiences were great. Like I said before, doing those kind of shows, most of the time the people don't know you in the audience, so they're judging you as an actor. Not my friend or my relative. I'll tell him he's good. They're really judging you for what you're doing. And that's the best way to learn. And best feedback you can get as well. And so I did that, because back then it was open to the public. Now I believe Brown is hooked up with Trinity Rep. It's a local theater company in Providence. Excuse me. And Trinity, they have these programs with Brown. So that kind of closed it all off. I don't think they really have auditions to anyone in the public anymore, unless they really can't find anyone within their company or the school. But back then, it was open to the public, which was great, and it was a great experience. And the same time, around 1999, I ended up in my very first movie. It was the first time ever on a movie set. It was a low-budget independent film, but it was being done in Providence. It was called Awake in Providence. The Pagano brothers were doing this movie. Vincent and I can't remember. Oh man, I don't remember Vincent's name because I just recently saw Vincent Pagano in an episode of Dexter. Actually, in a couple episodes of the Showtime series Dexter, he played a bartender who was under suspicion of murder. But him and his brother, they wrote this movie, Awake in Providence. They directed it and they starred in it. And how I ended up in it was LDI, and from LDI, they had my picture on file, my resume, and I'm just sitting home, chilling out. I was probably listening to music or watching TV. I can't remember what day it was. I happened not to be working that day, and had no cell phone then. There was no computer or email. I just happened to be home. I pick up the phone and she says, "Hey, this is Annie from LDI." I say, "Hey, how you doing? What are you doing right now?" I said, "Nothing." She goes, "Oh, do you have a suit?" Yeah, I have a suit and a tie. Yeah. Can you come down to be in this movie right now? I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I've never been on a movie set. It would be awesome. And I was like, where is it? And she's like, it's a graveyard on between North Main Street and Branch Ave. I was like, I know that graveyard. I'm 5 minutes away from there. I live on the North End. And she's like, perfect. And I went down. I was there in 5 minutes. I had my suit on, and they had everything set up. All the cameras. They even had fake gravestones because I don't think they can use like the real gravestones in movies. So they had some made, and there was a grave that was open, like the dug hole. And I can stop talking with my hands because I'm hitting the microphone. Sorry about that. It's an Italian thing. I can't help it. So, and Adrienne Balboa was in the movie. Victoria Rowell, I think I'm pronouncing it right. She was like a soap opera actress. And a few others, like recognizable faces. And it was cool. It was the last scene in the movie that they were filming. I don't know if they were filming it before. They film out of order when they film movies. But this was supposed to be the last scene at the graveyard, and it was a cool experience. It was cool just to be there for hours and watch how they set up the cameras, and all that stuff, and just the whole process. I was just soaking it in, man. Like, this is so cool. Totally different experience from theater. And at one point, we had there was like a scene, I can't remember, but one of the aunts, this chubby, like, short Italian lady, had to fall into the grave, but they had a stunt woman dressed just like her, all padding, and she ended, the stunt woman falls in the grave, and we were all supposed to run to the grave and look in the hole. So they filmed it over and over. If you've been on a movie set, they just film scenes over all different angles. I mean, at one point, even the camera guy got in the grave and looked up at us. So you do see me for a split few seconds if you watch Awake in Providence at the end. You do see me in some of the scenes. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of water. So it was a great experience, like I said. I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it so much, I was like, you know what? I looked into trying to audition for more film work. Even like, even like locally, student films. So I ended up finding out that they audition actors locally for RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, our film school here in Providence. And I went down and auditioned, and over the course of maybe about 2 years or less, I ended up in 6 student films. And I also ended up in a couple of student films at BU, Boston University as well. And that was great. That experience was great because you're there with the students. They're learning the process, how to, to make a film, and I'm there learning how to act on film. So that if you're starting out now, that's like one of the best ways, I'm telling you, that you can go learn how to act on film, and it was free for me. You know what I mean? I didn't have to pay to be there. They were paying, or their parents were paying for school. I'm sure, not them. And there I am, like, just on the job training, really, just learning how to act on film, learning to keep developing characters. I played a bunch of different characters in these films, and then around the same time, I ended up my friend Bruce Calver, who does dinner theater, he's got a contract with Dave and Buster's at the Providence Place Mall, and we ended up doing dinner theater there every Saturday night. I was there almost 2 years. Every Saturday night and every 6 weeks or so, we would change the show, the murder mystery that we did. People would come in, eat dinner, and then watch a show, right? And then you have to solve the murder. And I always got cast in. I was there like every 6 weeks. I got to play a different character. So that was like really awesome for character development. You know what I mean? So if you are starting out, I tell you, man, just try to audition for the local film schools that are around you. See who's online now. It's so easy to find that. They post things online in theater groups on Facebook and all that stuff. Very easy to find. And you just audition. If you get lucky, you get in. It's a great learning experience. It's a great training experience. Go to local community theaters. Try out for stuff. Without the experience, how are you going to get good? How are you going to really develop that craft that you were born with? You know what I mean? So, and I was doing that. So that was my goal. Like, once I got back from California as a failure loser that I felt like, I said, you know what? I'm not going to beat myself up. I just beat myself a little bit. And then and then I said, you know what? You got to dust myself off, get back in the race. That's life, like Sinatra says. And I did. And I just went for it. Brown University shows, a couple of local theater shows, Dave and Buster's, the film set, the RISD films, the Boston University films. And I just did that through the rest of the 90s, and ended up by the summer of 2001. I felt I really built up something of some theater and film experience. I kept working, I kept saving my money, and then I had a plan. This time, you know what? Maybe California wasn't for me. I didn't really care for it much at that time. I said, maybe I'm going to try New York City. So I had my plan to go to New York. And that's what I'll talk about on the next episode. My New York experience. That really didn't happen. Because did you hear what year I planned to go? Did you hear the year? 2001. So I got a story about that. But thanks for listening. I hope you have a great week. Take care, everybody. God bless. Ciao.